and welcome back to the Coding Hub. In today's video, we will have a look at what browsers you should use for web development. Now, before we get started, I just want to point out that you can read more about the topic on our website at thecodinghub.com, and if you head over to the tutorial section, you'll be able to find this tutorial and many others that might pique your interest. And before we get started, please like and subscribe to our channel to help us improve and reach more people out there who have similar interests to you. Okay, so are you a developer and are you hoping to start developing for the web? Well, there is a few things that you should know, which is web development is hard. The reason why it's hard is every browser tends to have their own interpretation of how to implement certain things. You know, you might think background color red might be the same red color on every single browser out there. However, background red might mean a slightly different hexadecimal color in one browser to another. And the reason for this is the W3 standards for the web are kind of guidelines, and each browser company tends to take those guidelines and implement them in their own way, depending on how they interpret those guidelines. And if we have a look at this website here called StackCounter, it basically collates internet traffic from around the world and tries to give you a rough idea of, you know, how many people are using what. And you can see here Chrome and Safari are kind of like the most popular browsers out there. But if we have a look at Opera, for example, it's only got 2.3%, and initially you might think, oh, I shouldn't cater for Opera because it's only got 2% of the internet's population using it. However, if you think about it, 2% of about 4.6 billion people who have access to the internet is actually still a very large amount of people, you know, roughly 90 million people that, you know, if you're not catering to, you could just be ignoring for no good reason, really. So when you start with web development, I would suggest when it comes to testing your products that you always test on as many different types of browsers as you can. There are applications out there that simulate some of that for you if you have a large website and you want to test multiple different types of websites, browsers, then, you know, there are tools out there that can simulate that for you. But also, yeah, just testing on as many different browsers as you can, many different types of devices as you can, and also screen sizes, so stuff like mobile, and the different browsers that are available on mobile. In terms of for when you start working on your project, whether it's your brand new website or a new application, ideally you should work on the browser that is most comfortable to you, so the one that you're most used to using. And the reason for that is you're going to be most familiar with it, you'll know where all the settings are and how to use it best. So always, when you're developing, use the browser that you're most used to, but always test on as many as you can. However, if you're looking for a browser that's got good debugging and other capabilities, then I'll strongly recommend using something like Chrome, which if you go into your settings and then into more tools, you'll be able to see developer tools here. And this is honestly amazing. You can, for a start, you can do stuff like inspect different elements of the page and see different H2 and CSS components that you can turn on and off. And it is very powerful. You have a console for errors in JavaScript. You can see the source code and debug through your JavaScript. You can see networking, the networking stack. So if you refresh here, you can see some of the requests, and, you know, stuff like this will help you determine if your page is being slow and, you know, what's taking the most amount of time to load. You can do performance monitoring, and you can even do there's a device tab, so you can test the different types of device screen sizes, and yeah, it's really powerful for testing. I'll strongly recommend using Chrome as your default browser when developing new applications. However, if you are not a fan of Chrome, there is also Firefox itself. However, there is a Firefox for Developers edition. So this is the developer edition of Firefox, which is a custom-built browser, which is very powerful, similar to Chrome, and has a lot of different types of features that are specifically built for developers in mind to better help you debug and code, really. You have stuff like CSS grids and debuggers, consoles, inspectors, and all sorts of stuff that will really make your debugging experience and editing experience really smooth. So I'd highly recommend using Firefox Developer Edition if you can and want to. Second to that would be Chrome, and yeah, and anything that you prefer using after that. So yeah, I hope you found this video useful. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much.